Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 346. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Blaze that shit up!
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Hello, Matt.
What up, world?
Are you counting down until the launch of Fast and Furious? What is it, Fast 9 now?
It doesn't matter. You're forgetting the true holiday today.
What? Oh. That is today, huh? Well, some would say that the whole month has been celebrating the dumb police code.
That's one way of putting it.
I don't... all that shit, Cinco de Mayo as an excuse to get drunk, or St. Patrick's Day, it's just all... just go do what you do and just have fun.
Cinco de Mayo never quite understood. Yes, they won that battle, but they lost that war, so you're celebrating something that you lost.
But, well, it's not an American... I don't know why Americans use it as an excuse to fucking...
drink.
Real dumb.
You have like one a month. You realize that, right?
One drinking holiday a month?
Pretty much, or an excuse to do it. It's close.
I never needed an excuse.
Some people do.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's break them down. What are your drinking holidays? You got St. Patrick's Day. What's April?
I would say 420, a good excuse.
To drink?
I mean, I just assume it's with it, right?
I don't know, man. You might have people out there who are very adamantly against drinking, but are very much celebrating 420.
I don't know. Doesn't your throat get dry when you do it? I don't know. You're asking the exact wrong person.
You don't want to mix those two things, generally speaking. You certainly can,
Fair.
But it's kind of like it's like drinking a full throttle and melatonin. You know what I mean?
It's very fair. Although I do a version of that on most days on this podcast. So
yeah, you do a weird fucking highball. Is that what it is? Speedball? What's the one that killed Chris Farley?
Because that's the thing that killed him, not his cocaine addiction.
No, he did the mix. He did heroin and cocaine. I forget what it's called. I think it's a speedball. I'm gonna bing it while you tell me the rest of the holidays you get fucked up on.
Got Cinco de Mayo. You can drink during Easter. You can drink on Friday.
You can drink during
You can
anything.
drown your sorrows and then drown your sorrows on the Friday, and then celebrate resurrection on Sunday. That's 2 days.
You're not wrong, but again, I'm asked. You said there are definitively drinking holidays each month. I'm looking for results here.
All right. Well, 4th of July. Let's start. We'll start early in January.
Okay.
You have a birthday.
Okay, yeah, everybody drinks on Matt's birthday. Check. February. If you're alone, you drink. Is that what you're going with there, or are you celebrating
Valentine's Day?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you can go out and have a glass of wine. It's a stereotypical thing. I don't do that, but it's the stereotypical thing you see in the movies a lot.
I don't watch movies. Don't care for them.
Okay.
Last one I watched disappointed me.
You never seen any Matthew McConaughey chick flick movies?
Yeah, I probably have at some point.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? Isn't that one? I feel like that's one.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw that one outside of like seeing it on in the background while it was on Lifetime or something when I lived at home.
All right, March.
Here's the better question. Like, what's the drinking holiday in November?
Thanksgiving.
That's a turkey day. Like, that's the day of stuffing and food.
Football. Are you kidding me?
I'm not saying you can drink on any of these, but none of them are inherently drinking
I'm just saying you're looking for an
holidays.
excuse to drink.
Dude, I'm saying anyone can find an excuse to drink. You could make up a day or whatever. I can pick a day every week. Exactly. I'm just saying there's not drinking holidays in the way that, like, St. Patrick's Day is designed for one thing and one thing only. And so is Cinco de Mayo, in America at least. Well, and to get half off tacos at some place.
I'm just thinking the days, like especially the summer ones. You just sit out. Like, what else are you going to do? You're going to go and drink and have a good time. Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July. Like,
Look,
go
man,
to a beach and drink.
I got me a full throttle, hard working, easy drinking citrus drink any day of the week. Don't need an excuse.
Actually, I take that back. New Year's works both ways. You got the December and the January one. Boom, roast it.
Anyway, speedball is a mixture of cocaine with heroin or morphine or sometimes benzodiazepine taken intravenously or by insufflation.
Sponsored by the free cheese.
No. But yeah, that's the one. You do the upper and you do the extreme upper and the extreme downer. But, it's often pretty toxic and lethal. Speaking of toxic, speaking of lethal, we've both been playing more Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, yeah. Didn't put as much time as I thought I would, but it ramped up.
I didn't either. And honestly, for me, it was because of the spot that I got to I think I'm in Sector 5 slums, is where I spent most of the week. It's just a fucking slog.
Just say it. You're with Aerith.
Yeah. But okay. I don't want to go too...
I'm not going too much. That's the sector.
Yeah, but the fucking side quests in this game are just deflating. Like, the combat is so good, the music is so good, the story, the cutscenes, like those big action pieces are so good. And then the part where I'm like running around trying to find 5 kids with swords on their backs is just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I agree with that. But then, because last night, funny enough, my goal last night was to get through that open-ended part, so that way the next time I pick up my controller, it's all done. And so
open-ended, if you could elaborate without spoiling.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, I wanted to get through all those side quests, so that way the next time I pick up the controller, I have the main objective, and that's it. Like, I can just move on from it all. And I was thinking about it last night as I was finding the 5 kids with the sword, funny enough, and Cloud saying, like, ugh, Dora and all, all this stuff. And it made me think, I don't know what else. I mean, I'm sure there are more clever ways of doing it, right? But Square was kind of dealt a bad hand with their own source material. And it's a weird thing because this part of the game is so linear. I don't know, like, the side quest can't do much else than flesh out these new story beats. And you get a couple little character tidbits as well.
I'm with you. That's been the biggest struggle for me, is like, I don't like what I'm doing, but I don't know how to solve that problem. And I'm sure that they were up against the same thing. Like, technically, running around and finding the 5 kids, that example specifically sucks, because you don't really get anything out of it. The kids maybe say something to you. What you do get is Cloud kind of breaking down a little bit. Like, you see him start to, the way he responds to him. But there's another side quest where it's just like you have to go fight the Toad King.
Yeah, because it's the follow-up to that.
Right, so you do that one, and like, that is actually challenging. Yeah. You have to like put some thought into what you're attacking. I had to remember, oh shit, you need to. I didn't have the assess materia equipped anymore.
That's like the first thing I do now.
And you know what I mean? Like, just like getting back into the rhythm of that. I think.
I just know the side quests have been doing a really good job of like having like a good enemy and a good little challenge for you at the end, and that's what kind of keeps me going. The other thing is I like that they're doing with the side quests, for as like not great as they are, they let you fast travel back to cash in, so that's really nice. And they are like, they tell you where the things are, so that way like you don't have to run around, and then if you miss something you have to go back. Well, I mean, in some cases you can't go back. But it says it in the loading screens, like at the end of the game, that you're going to be able to chapter select and go back and redo all that stuff. So I don't feel bad saying that. But like, I don't. There is some quality of life things to the mediocreness that makes it kind of okay. And I don't absolutely hate it. I don't like it, but it's fine.
No, I agree. It's like, as I'm doing it, I'm like, why am I doing this? I just want the next big thing. But then I think it also makes the next big thing that much more worth it. It's really, I've been like really polarized on the whole thing. Like, there's moments where I'm like, no, this is good. And then I'm like, wait, why don't know. I feel really weird about it. But generally speaking, I think it's just still super impressive. I think there's like a level of reality I keep hearing in NPC dialogue, like scattered in the background. Like the people in that particular sector just shouting shit like, save Shinra, and what was it? That avalanche doesn't scare me, and stuff like that. That's like, it feels very real to me in the way that like you could swap out the word avalanche with another like terrorist organization or something that people are fearing or whatever, and it still fits in our own reality. I think the same thing, like there was one dude I wrote down and he was just like, I'm honored to fight for my home. And it was like, that's very like it, you think about where these people are and who they are, like it all kind of makes sense. The one thing that I kind of, it's so weird. Like the game is so beautiful and the character models are all like the main character models, I should say, are all super detailed. Yeah. But then like I walked by 4 Stan Lees in one of the sectors. Like it's just like I literally like stood and I spun the camera and there were 3 of the same model in the exact same area. And then I walked into a room and then another one was hiding in there by a jukebox. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing here? And I don't know. I don't want to get too ahead of myself or whatever, but like this is total conjecture. So listeners, don't think that I know some weird shit about the first game. And if this happens to be a spoiler, it's not. This is me purely guessing. There's some weird shit going on in this story, right? So all this like Shinra and Mako and Soldier and whatever, like if we start to get to this, like if there's like a clone thing or something like that, maybe that explains duplicate models and maybe this is all for a reason. But I think it might just be that they had duplicate
I think it's
models.
The limitation of the PS4 hardware and they had to develop on the PS4 first.
Yeah.
I think that's your answer.
Which I guess
it's no different than like looking at the audience of a sports game or whatever.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, but the difference is like you have to interact with these people, and they're like,
well, true, okay,
the same.
I don't know, but like, the gripes aside, it took longer than I thought it was going to take.
Yeah,
but I finally am in love with the game. I think it's just like I've seen the story beat so many times that like I kind of know what's coming, and finally I got to some stuff that is completely brand new, and I was like, oh, this is good, but yet it's still just a nostalgia trip because they still like hint to little things that if you've played the original game or know of the original game, like they still point at like all that still being somewhat consistent but different. It's really good, and like sometimes the story gets in the way of the main game. Like sometimes I just want to fight, but you can't fight because you got to go through this whole slog of narrative. But once again, it's Square's own source material getting in the way because this part of the game is only like 6 hours or so. It's right. It's not supposed to be like a 30-hour fleshed out thing.
Yeah, and I think they've done a really good job.
I don't know if it's 30 hours. I don't know what time. I'm just saying. Like, yeah.
But the thing I like too is how like we've spent time so far in an underground facility inside of chasing the reactor and like fighting robot things, and then we're out in the slums in a field in like a dirt town fighting giant rats. Like there's like this cool like variety, and there's like I don't know. It's been nice seeing like how much they can put into like how much variety, for lack of a better word, they can put into like the setting and what you're doing and who you're seeing. You spend so much time with Barrett and Tifa, and now it's just Cloud and Aerith, and then that'll change or whatever. But I don't. It's really fucking good.
Yeah, I really like how like when they flesh out the chapter from like when you go back to the original, it's like going to the sected Mako reactor. Like all those events happen, like the train sequence, the sequence afterwards. But the sequence afterwards is like 4 screens, and then you're kind of back at the familiar Mako reactor setting. Is it looks a little bit more like cold than the other one, but it's like the same like background art, just like a different coloring. But like it's so weird that they still take pieces that from those 4 screens and put them into these areas, like the big slide down that tube that you get yourself into the reactor. You did that, I believe, in the original game, and just like, dude, like it's just so good. It's just they're very careful about what they bring into this game that's familiar and yet keep it fresh at the same time.
Yeah, I had read an interview with one of the key artists for the remake, and talking about how she had gone through the original game and looked at like the parts in the original game's backgrounds that were just like you could see a hint of it, but it was not something you could fully like walk through or explore, and how much work went into like making those things big actual set pieces that Cloud can walk through or walk by, or one thing that used to be just, you know, like a 2-pixel color thing on the wall is now a whole room you can walk inside of and like live in for a second. It's cool. And I think the thing for me that's been really fun about this game is how much it's made me like remember how much I love Final Fantasy, because I liked 15 quite a bit, but really the things about 15 that made me feel like, fuck yeah, Final Fantasy. It was like the big, when you would do the summons, or you had like the fight with the Leviathan, shit like that was like, oh, right, Final fucking Fantasy. You know what I mean? It's been a while since I've had that like draw for the franchise, and I found myself this week going back and playing a bunch of Final Fantasy II on PSP, because it's been the PSP Go, just shout out to that thing yet again after these many years I've had it. But that thing is just so fucking great, because you just, whatever you're doing, if you're like, oh, I gotta go, just close it, just you know, slide it down like a T-Mobile sidekick that it is. But I've had it in my nightstand for I don't know, a couple months, so I just pop it out before bed. And now I've been in Final Fantasy II, playing through that and just grinding before bed and walking through the fields and exploring that story. And it's funny seeing how much of the old DNA Final Fantasy stuff is still present in 7 Remake. Like, all this time later, that they still hold on to like a certain piece of the roots. Like the stuff where in 2 I'm playing, and every time you use fire, it's leveling up. So you have fire level 1, fire level 2, and it's the same thing in this. Like it's not as like in Final Fantasy 2, you literally open your menu, you look at your status stuff, and you can see like bars for each thing, like for every spell, for every weapon type that a character could possibly wield. And they're all like, you know, filling up, and they give you a little number next to it for which level you're at. You don't get like that level of detail in this, but you do get detail. Like you see that Cloud's fire spell is increasing, and then it becomes, what is it, Fira, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's how I pronounce it. I don't know. Everything I've been pronouncing one way for years has come back and not been wrong. So I don't know anymore.
And yeah, I mean, like 2, the one thing I like that I don't miss, like I wouldn't want these in 7, but it's been cool in 2, is the random encounters. Like, you don't think about how like prevalent, but also like necessary they were in those old games. Like, it was just, that's how they built the game. It's how the game was meant to work. And I don't think they could do that in the modern, like if you were walking around in this world and all of a sudden you just got thrown into battle, I think it would be really weird. But it has been neat, just that like element of surprise, like, oh god, what am I going to fight? What am I up against? And in 2, they do a weird thing where depending on which part of the map you're on, even though you're like, you could be right outside of the starting area, there are enemies that not just one hit you, but like deal like 100 times your HP. Like, it's not, you're nowhere close to being able to fight them, and they're just right there. So it's just this constant like threat always looming of like, what's going to happen. So I spent a lot of time in that one just grinding and learning that type of game again, and it's been cool jumping between the 2 back and forth.
One of the things that is really making me mad, and maybe it does get harder the later I get. I mean, I guess chapter 8, is that technically where I'm at? Is that what the name of that chapter?
I think it's chapter 8, yeah.
People are saying this game is too hard. I think this is like Final Fantasy difficult. Like, you're supposed to go into a battle and lose, and then you're going to realize what to do, and you're going to re-equip your weapons, your materia. You're going to do all that. That happened to me with a certain boss fight where I walked into it, and I came, like, I should have known better, but I went into it with a very physical layout for my characters, and then I came back out of it. I was like, I need a mixture. I need like someone to be focused on healing. I need someone to be focused maybe on the physical stuff, and then I need a magic dealer. And I just like, I've never died to an enemy or a boss more than twice, just because like you get the mechanics of the fight. You know what they deal. You kind of know like whether you should block or dodge, and then you have a sense of like what to use against it. Once you use your assess, it's game over. Like you know everything about the enemy, which is really cool. So like I don't know, I feel like the difficulty is like perfect for a Final Fantasy game, and like weirdly enough, there was a certain boss where I remember struggling as a kid, and then I had the same struggles on it, and it was once again that nostalgia trip all over again. It's pretty cool, and just one thing: the boss fights have been the best part of this game. I think they're just such awesome set pieces. I like how like there's just different whether they form or shift. Ooh, you got something good getting on there.
Don't know
whether like the boss like transforms or like has different things, and then there's like different optional areas you can hit to try to weaken them or stagger them, and like it's just so well done. And like I don't know, I just whenever I know a boss fight is looming, just because of prior knowledge, I am like excited to see how they transformed what I know into this system, which is excellent. And we had early concerns, or at least I did, about just mashing square all the time. That is not the case.
No, not at all.
I think I hit square 3 times, and then here I am. I'm hitting R2, L2, X, doing my spells, doing my abilities, switching over to try to get someone else's ATB gauge up, and I'm just doing all this stuff, and it is so well done.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of, my earlier complaint about the side quests being the side quests are really like helping you to get ready for the boss battle. Like they are actively the same way that grinding in an old Final Fantasy in a field somewhere was leveling you up to a point where you were powerful enough to take on a boss fight. These are, they're leveling you up so that you're powerful enough to take on a boss fight, but they're also teaching you strategy. When you've got something like that Toad King fight where those other 2 little werehogs or whatever the fuck they are, little Sonics, are doing the Sonic the Hedgehog jumpy thing, like the spin dash in the air. Like none of those enemies had done that prior to that, so that's your first exposure to that.
And then they got buffs too, so it wasn't like let's just take care of them. Take care of them real fast. No, they had like barrier on them, and I think like a magic, whatever the equivalent of barrier. Yeah.
So you had to target the other one first, and so it immediately made you think like, okay, well, what I already know and what I'm used to, I can't rely on that. I need to be creative in this, and that's where the assess comes in, and that's where just thinking differently about how you're attacking. And I think not that was the fight that triggered it for me, because there's been fights before that, but that's a recent example where playing through, I was just like, okay, hold on. That dude's weak to ice, so Aerith has Blizzard, so I'm going to use Cloud to build up his ATB to get the first ATB. I'm going to switch to Aerith and start building hers, but I'm going to use Braver on, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like jumping back and forth, and it's been so fucking good.
I really also like, when you're talking about like equipping yourself for a battle, I also really like the weapon upgrade. It's like so simple, but like you can build your weapons. Like they definitely lean the weapon towards you wanting to have it like a certain build, but you can still wiggle in this kind of wide scope to kind of make it a very niche thing, or try to make it a very broad thing. Like more than ever, and maybe I don't know, maybe I could just suck at the first game, but like in this game, I find myself switching weapons more so than I ever have before in other Final Fantasy VII game or other Final Fantasy games, period, because of how like I can make the Buster Sword my physical damage, but then I can make my Iron Sword this like somewhat defensive magic dealer. Like there's so many things I can play with in the scope of it.
I have not changed weapons on any character at all.
Ooh.
Yeah. Right. So walk me through this, because I have not even tried to. What am I doing wrong, or how are you switching on the fly in a battle?
No, you can't.
Okay,
so you can't. So you have to walk in knowing, and that's part of where like you go in, you die, and you're like, all right, and let's try it this way.
Okay, so it's just a matter of like you can kind of make a build per weapon, and then you go in and try that build out. That's
yeah, like I don't know if I've accidentally done this or the weapons have kind of led me that way, but I seem to have like a high magic weapon per person and then like a high physical per person. And then like it gets really interesting because some of those upgrades on like I know like Aerith's second weapon you can get with a Moogle medal.
Yeah, that silver wand or silver whatever. Yeah,
like one of the buffs inside of that is like you can do a 10% boost on like one of the elemental attacks, whether it's the wind one, the fire, blizzard, whatever. And so like right away, you know, like, all right, well, if I'm casting magic all the time in a fight, I probably want this one. And if I can get all those boost up, like the first one I did was blizzard and wind because I ran into those types of enemies early. So I knew that was going to be a thing. And yeah, it's just like you're playing with all of this. Like the materia system, it's pretty much ripped out of the original game. They didn't do too much to it, especially with all the linking with the materia and stuff like that. But now it all is so good. I don't know what else to say about it besides it's like it's excellent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That game continues to impress. I want to spend more time with it. Like, I think after we wrap up here today, I'm just going to get lost in it for a while.
Yeah, the one thing I'm trying to do, I'm trying not to play it, like, if I've had, like, a few beers at night, because I just want to, like, bring it all in at, like, an emotional level and stuff. Like, I just want to, because, like, that's where the game is shining is, like, the story and the characters and all that. So, like, I'm very conscious about when I play it, like, my mood going into it and all that stuff. I'm taking it in like a very fine wine, almost more so than I did with Doom. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm also, like, we were talking about the side quest, and there's one more point. Like, part 2 of this game should really make the open world stuff better because, I mean, not knowing where this ends, but kind of maybe just assuming, once you get outside of Midgar in the original game, that's where all the side stuff was, and that's when you get the overworld, and that's when you can run from town to town, including the gold saucer. So right. I think part 2 is going to have more. I think they're just kind of had to deal with the hand they were dealt.
I am a little concerned with part 2, only because I feel like, I said it last week, like I feel like this finally cracked the formula that the 13 series never could, because 15 was complete open world, and I feel like that was too far in the wrong direction for what I wanted out of a Final Fantasy. I feel like 13 having, I only played 13.3, but in that one, like having that linear structure, very much in the way that this is set up, where it's like you can't go crazy out of scope here in this game, and neither could you in 13.3. But in that one, it always just felt a little off. Like they never really quite got the combat perfect. Like this all feels like they finally refined it to a bit. And I worry about them going too far in the 15 direction. I don't think it'll be completely open like 15 was. I think that would, I'd hope not.
I think one of the main reasons, I mean, besides the financial part and time part, but I think another reason was like just the amount of assets and the file size of this. Like if they are going with this scope and all the towns, like how detailed these slums are and all that stuff, like if you were to do all these towns, or even like half the towns that are available to go to in the original game, or even half the ones you even have to go to for story reasons, the file size is already humongous. I couldn't imagine what it'd be like if they tried to fit all that.
Well, Matt, let me tell you about the power of the PlayStation 5's solid-state drive. 2 questions. Are you a whack-a-box master?
Oh, first try. Boom.
30 grand?
Uh-huh.
Damn. Part 2. Do you want to play Final Fantasy XIV after this?
No.
Come on.
No, because you can't switch characters in 14, right?
You can change classes.
That's all right.
On the fly.
That's fine. You can also change... Wow, what was it in 13?
13.3, you could change your outfit, and you would become like you'd have a different...
Well, that's also 10, too. You could change your dress.
That would change like your combat or your preset. There you go.
Yeah. I'm glad they stole that from 10, too, which was another bad Final Fantasy. That one I actually played. I can't remember. Whatever the thing was in 13, you could switch out for the goddamn stupid auto battler.
I don't know.
I forget what it was. My 10 hours or 8 hours or whatever amount of time I spent with that game is not coming back to me.
Well, speaking of time spending with a game, tell me about Animal Crossing.
All right. So I check in for 5 minutes before 12, maybe 10 minutes after 12, and then I'm done.
No shit.
Yeah, it's become a toilet game for me. So if I go to the toilet and I'm still not done my business, I will then run around and maybe look for some fossils, go fishing, that kind of stuff. But other than that, I'm buying turnips on Sunday, and I'm looking at the prices on the before noon and afternoon, and the price is good, I will sell. Or if we get to the end of the week, like what happened this week, and I'm getting a little desperate, I start communicating more with Victoria about maybe visiting her island, depending on what that price is.
Have you had to resort to that?
Oh, yeah. This week I did. This week I did. Yeah. No, everything was under 70. Like, dude, everything was under 70. It wasn't even close. I didn't even have like a day where it was above my buy.
What did you buy them for?
It was like
100?
92.
Oh yeah.
And every day it was under 70. And I was like, God, yeah, I was getting real bad. I was getting real desperate. So
yeah, that's bad.
Yes, Friday.
Have you looked? There are tools I know people have. You can get where you can start to like basically plug in like a week's worth of data or something, and it'll start to.
No.
It'll start to like figure out the algorithm in your game for how it's generating those prices, something like that. And it's generally pretty accurate from what I've seen people talk about. Is like you kind of know that like, all right, well, Thursday afternoons at the time it's going to be 237 bells, and it's like usually there by like 5 or so bells off.
Huh. I might
be worth.
I might take a peek. Hacks.
Yeah, I keep playing. My thing is like I go into it every day after work. Like literally as soon as I'm done work, I walk over, turn on my Switch, and that's the first thing I do. And I just jump in and I grab. I run around and find as many fossils as I can until I get aggravated. But my thing has been go to the Able Sisters, see what clothes they have. Go to Blathers and assess any fossils and donate any that he'll take, and then go to me and Tommy and see what items they have for sale. And then after seeing what items they have for sale, then I'll sell whatever shit I have left over and leave it at that.
Fair enough.
And then I keep thinking like, yeah, I don't really have anything to do, but then I will get lost, like just running around fishing or running around catching bugs, shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking, hell, I forget to go to the ABD or whatever it's called, ATB. No, it's not ATB, that's fine. Is it ABD?
ABD's like the
terminal. It's like whatever the terminal and like going in and getting my daily cash. Like I even forget to do that now. Like I literally just go from my house to the shop and like, all right, well, that's the price. Let me walk outside and save.
Yeah, I do make sure I go over there only because I check in with the Nook shopping kiosk in there in the ATM for whatever the day's KK album is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like now, like I'm at the point where Nook wants me to like. First of all, he wants me to buy the plots of land or buy the plots and then put them down myself. It's like, bro, you got to throw me a bone here, man. I'm not buying your shit to make you money.
He's gonna give you miles in return, though.
Yeah, okay. Remember he came up with that program out of his ass when you couldn't pay him back in bells. That's how much it means to him.
No, the thing I didn't like about setting up the plots for people is you don't get to dictate who moves in. So I ended up with villagers that I don't give a fuck about. And I did have my first villager come to me this week and be like, hey, I think I'm moving on. And I made them stay because I like them. I kind of wanted one of the other ones to tell me they were leaving. But like the campsite is nice because you walk in and you can just turn around and walk right back out and never talk to that person again if it's somebody you don't want. It's always funny when you do because they do the exclamation point or the question mark over their head like, what the fuck? But I walk in, I'm like, you're an anteater. See you later. But basically, if I walk in there and it's not rolled, I'm leaving. I forget what else. I don't know. It's been Katie finally succumbed to Isabel's demands of changing the town tune and town flag. So now, as we're playing, I just hear the basic notes of the chorus to Britney Spears' "Toxic" play from Katie's Town.
That's pretty good.
And, yeah, and, it's still going. I think every week there's like a new goal or a new whatever. Like right now I'm kind of trying to put together, I just built a stall for the first time and I like customized a stall, and right now you can kind of like put items on it and have it outdoors. So I have a bag of trash, or a couple bags of trash in a pile, and then I have a frying pan with like a burnt mess inside of it. So if anyone wants those, they can come to my island and pick them up. But I want to set up like a little outdoor market area or something like that, like just to make the island look cool or do something weird with it.
Nah, I have to, because I don't know. Like, I'd rather do my own side project than fucking Tom Nook's bullshit. So, yeah. I do have to like sit down and just like kind of plan out what, because like I have the big picture idea of what I want. Now I got to do all the fine details. So I don't know. I think I just have to sit down on my iPad one day and like like sketch out like, all right, I know what this area is going to be, and I know what this area is going to be, and so. But the other thing is like I don't know what the game can give me. So that's the other part of it. So like I might like think of like, oh, that's a cool idea, but then see another object, like, oh, that's an even better idea. So I feel like my ideas are always changing based on what I see like on the Redeem and Nook Miles in the shop, you know, all that stuff. So I don't know. I think one day I need to commit to something and just go for it.
That's been my first room in my house. Like right when you walk in, I'm like, this is what I want. I want it to look like this, and I just can't. Then like a day will go by, and I'm like, I find a new wallpaper, and it completely changes the whole design of that room. Tom Nook trying to give me an extension on my house. I'm like, bro, I don't even live in my house, man. I'm a man of the woods. And my undies and my shoes and socks. No, that's all I'm chasing. I'm chasing the upgrades. I've got all the first floor rooms are done. I've got my Did I have my bathroom by the time we talked last podcast?
Yeah, you mentioned it to me at some point.
So the bathroom's up and running now, and then I'm still chipping away at that next loan so I can get the upstairs room. I'd like to get the upstairs because then I can move my bedroom from the back to the upstairs. And I don't know. But I need arcade machines. If you find an arcade machine or a pinball machine, just buy it and send it. I'll pay double.
Know. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'm rolling in the dough thanks to the turnip market. And the fact I'm not buying into Nook's commands.
Outside of that, I haven't really played anything else that's like substantial.
I'm still batting away at Warzone. I got really nothing new to say. There is an issue that may be on the rise. Hackers might be a thing in Warzone.
Well, it was only a matter of time, right?
Yeah, I was watching a video of someone, and it's stupid stuff. Like when you're spectating someone, it's so obvious. Like they just clip. It's like a really, really good auto assist that goes right to the head. And then sometimes they even see like people behind rocks. Like you can't see it from spectating them, but you just know, like, oh man, they can see that person behind that rock, and you're just waiting for them to peek. So like, it's like dumb stuff like that. And I was watching someone explain what kind of Call of Duty needs, and is what other games I played has. Some games use a system called Fair Fight or an equivalent of it, and one of the things it checks for is just unhumanly realistic stat lines on like headshot percentages and like all those weird analytical things that like the game is looking for balance and purposes and stuff like that. It checks all that, and if someone has like these ungodly numbers, they kick them or ban them or ban the account or whatever. So
I remember that from PUBG, how like important that became because of sniping with a pistol, like Halo 1. So
like you're getting that. And I know like Rainbow Six has something I forget what it's called, but like I think like that is part of the things they look for in Rainbow Six. So like hopefully they either at home in Activision or inside the studio itself, they come up with a solution like that, or they just like go third party with it and do like a fair fight thing. But yeah, it like more and more YouTube video stuff is popping up on my feed about it. I have not played much since I saw a lot of those videos start popping up. I only played a few rounds. I didn't really get killed by anything like that, at least not what I saw or felt like could happen. But yeah, something to keep an eye out for. Of course, this is happening on the PC side. The consoles, the consoles are consoles. So, one thing I guess you could do is turn off crossplay if you're on console. But the thing with that is, people were saying like when you do it on Xbox, it won't let you go into queue in the Warzone at all. And if you do it on PS4, like on PS4, you have to kind of keep telling the game, no crossplay, no crossplay, no crossplay, and it will finally cue you in. So even that's not working properly. And then like with the PC side of things, you can always do, and this is something else I heard, but like other games do it. You can always do the phone number verification step. So Dota, if you play competitively on Dota, you have to give Valve your phone number so that way you can link your account to a phone number, so that way you just can't keep making accounts because it is a free game. So they were saying maybe on the PC side do something like that, so that way you can't just keep, if you get banned on a free account, you just make another free account. So hopefully we see a fix for that soon. But like I said, not effective, but it's something that has been on the radar.
What's the benefit of cheating?
Nothing.
Besides winning. But if I'm winning every game, do I get a bunch of experience points?
You get experience, and I guess you can rank up your battle pass quicker.
Okay.
And battle pass does cost money, but it's the only thing you're getting out of it is a couple hundred COD points, which is the premium currency every once in a while. But I don't even think that's worth it. In my opinion,
if you're doing it and then you sell the account to somebody,
that could be the part you're doing. That's probably where it's at. But they don't have the greatest system to report. You could just kind of keep tabs on the dude or the person that is doing it, and then after the match, you can go back into your recent players and you have to dig through the list, but you will eventually find the name and you can report it. And then the other thing you can do is block that player, and Warzone will then tell you, hey, you're queuing into a game with this player that you blocked. Do you want to back out? And you just hit yes and then re-queue. So there's some options to do it. They're a little non-user or not user-friendly, but they're not easy to get to.
Yeah.
Or not convenient. Convenient is probably the better word.
It sucks, but I feel like that's the reality of it, because if you had it where it was just click this button to report a cheater, then somebody...
They have it.
Oh, they do?
They have report and block.
I feel like it would be abused so easily. If you just pissed me off in the game, I would just report you as a cheater, and I feel like the back end of that, trying to manage all of that and all those requests sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. That's where... Activision's gonna have to make a decision on what they want to do, because it's already a thing that's being talked about on YouTube by the people that make videos for this all the time. So they're gonna have to address it because word is getting out there about it.
Yeah. Well, I hope it doesn't get too bad before it gets better. But
like I said, haven't encountered it myself. I was playing last night for a bit and didn't really see it. So hopefully.
Yeah. Well, why don't we move into a break?
Sounds
Unless
good to
there's
me.
Anything else to tell? I didn't play anything else. Anything else of note? I dicked around with some stuff here and there, but
same.
Yeah, we'll take a break. When we get back, we do have a lot of news to run through. A lot of news. So we'll be right back. News time, Matthew. Like I said before the break, we got a lot of news.
Good bit. A good
to talk about. Matt, in an ongoing saga that we call Resident Evil news, we should just have what news? Here's my question. What Resident Evil news are we going to talk about next week?
Code Veronica.
Okay. Well, apparently Capcom's not talking about that yet, but they are talking about... Or they're not talking about, but people are talking about the fact that Capcom is working and has greenlit a Resident Evil 4 remake. Multiple development sources have told Video Games Chronicle. A lot of news coming out of Video Games Chronicle lately. They were the ones behind that Mario trilogy stuff. Development is being led by Osaka-based M2, that new studio founded by former Platinum Games head Tatsuya Minami. Has been prepping for the project since 2018. This one, so All right. There are claims that it will be co-developed by parts of the Resident Evil 2 and Devil May Cry 5 teams.
The irony.
It's understood, I know, that the remake has the blessing of the original game director Shinji Mikami, who officially declined an approach to lead the project himself, but has provided informal advice on its direction. The studio helming the remake has been in operation since 2018. Is comprised of many former Platinum and Capcom employees. M2 recently contributed to the development of 2019's... 2019, what? What year is it? No, it's 2020.
2020.
2020's Resident Evil 3. That's listed incorrectly.
Or they meant to say Resident Evil 2. They're type of both ways there.
Well, no, but the M2, they were in the credits for 3, but not 2.
When I did my watch through of the game, I did not stay for the credits. So,
yeah. So people are pulling things out of the 3 remake that seem to lead into 4 or could tie to 4, but I don't know. Hey, what do you think?
It's the specific thing after the credits. It's literally a 3-second clip. I don't know if you care that much. You can see someone analyze a 3-second clip for 30 minutes on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
This one's weird, and this is the one that I don't think makes sense. Like, Resident Evil 4 kind of already plays like the remakes, besides the fact that you stand still when you shoot. You can't like really back up or anything. Yeah. I think Code Veronica is the one that's desperate of the remake. And it's kind of like the weird redheaded stepchild in this series. Like, it doesn't have a number. It wasn't like the most critically liked game because it was at the end of like the tank controls when everyone kind of hated them. And the series kind of being a little stale because it's been like kind of like the same thing over and over. I don't know. Code Veronica needs the remake more than 4 does, because I guarantee you. I mean, well, actually, you can't do it because everything's going to be backwards compatible. But if you up-resed it again to PS5, Xbox Series X, and just put out like the original game, it will still sell a buttload of copies.
It
like
could, but
like me, I think I bought the game 3 times maybe. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one that seems like, do you really need to? But I don't know. And then I asked the question, like, how far does it go? Do they do 5? Do they do 6? Is 7 the next one that gets remade? Like, where are we going with it?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you do. They gotta. They're gonna have to go away from the remake formula here that they have going. And I think it's going to take a little bit more than just putting it into the RE engine, which is beautiful, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than just doing that.
Well, this report does call out that the previously reported Resident Evil 8 is due out next year, with the 4 remake for 2022. So that's fine. I'm not over it yet. I'm definitely not over Resident Evil yet. I want to get into 3 at some point. Once I'm going to grab 3 on a sale and just play it for a night, because I know that's all it's going to take and whatever. But I just jumping in at $60 for that and the multiplayer mode that we tried. I didn't really care in the beta form.
I watched someone play it entirely. I watched the whole game. They beat it on hardcore in about 7.5 hours blind. So a standard run blind was probably at least an hour less, I would assume.
Yeah. I know that someone who knows what they were doing beat it in an hour. So there's that too.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I'm not over it yet. I just kind of like, what else you got? You know, not to be that, like, that was something that I remember Reggie saying at some point when he was talking about fans of Nintendo, is you could ask everyone, like, what is your dream game announcement from Nintendo? And you would get, if you got a resounding answer from this whole group of people, he could walk out on stage and give them that announcement, and then he'd walk off stage and the press would go, okay, so what's next? Before the game's even out. It's just like, you know, so I don't mean to sound like, okay, well, what else do you got? But Capcom has a lot. Like, we've seen Monster Hunter come into a bigger way. Like, it was already huge in so many respects, but in a more mainstream way.
Like, it had us talking about Monster Hunter
Yeah.
For the first time. I mean, at least for me. I mean, I knew of the game, but I never even thought in a million years about the possibility of maybe playing it.
Yeah, I mean, we should maybe think about that again. Okay. I really want to...
It just seems so dense.
I know.
And I'm playing Final Fantasy, so I'm kind of already getting that combat out of the way now.
Maybe after, in a post-Final Fantasy VII world.
Well, but thank God you got like 5 more years of it.
It's true. I think... Like, Mega Man has started to see a little bit of a return. There's a couple other franchises. Devil May Cry 5 was a big win. Like, they're getting there, but I want to see what other stuff. Like, is there a new Onimusha? Not that I was ever a huge... But, like, I know that Capcom has that... I mean, Capcom's got a huge variety in its back catalog. And in its back catalog, Resident Evil 4, we couldn't talk about it without talking about Leon. And this week... It was announced that the original Resident Evil 2 voice actor, Paul Haddad, has died. I forget where the announcement came from, but...
I think it was Invader Studios tweeted the confirmation, because he worked with them for that upcoming horror game, Daymare, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
Which I think... I may be wrong, but I think it's that PS1 esque like demake of like a traditional survivor horror back in those days. Yeah. Like sad, but we had to be brought up if we're talking about a game starring.
Yeah, we had to mention it. And there was also the death of the voice actor behind a lot of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts characters this week as well.
I missed that one. I completely missed that one.
Keiji Fujiwara, the Japanese voice actor of Axel, Reno, and many others, died this week. I'm trying to look and see what else we'd recognize from. But a lot of stuff. Anywho, let's move on from death and talk Magic the Gathering.
Magic, Final Fantasy, Materia. You see, it's all one.
Kind of a state of the game update hit this week. Not kind of, exactly a state of the game update hit this week. And so this week marked the launch of Ikoria, Lair of the Behemoths. This is the part where maybe you might have seen card art of Godzilla and friends hanging out on Magic cards.
I didn't really look at the cards.
I kept seeing it pop up, and I thought it was an April Fool's joke thing, and then it never went away. And I realized they are. They're like you know how when you're playing Magic, you get the card art you can like swap out, and it's like a different looking version.
Yeah.
They have those, and it'll be like, I forget what the card is, but that one becomes Godzilla, or this one becomes Mothra, or whatever.
The green deck.
Yeah. So the game has added player draft, so you can do. This happened as of last Thursday, but basically you'll be able to do the real world tabletop draft online with people. So when joining a player draft, you'll be placed at a digital table until you're paired with 7 other players. Once all 8 players are queued up, you'll confirm your readiness. From there, the draft will commence similar to how it would against bots, with each player picking a card from their current pack and then passing it to other players. There's a failsafe in the user experience where a single click reserves a card but doesn't automatically select it as your pick. Double-clicking, dragging the card to your deck, or hitting the confirm pick button will lock in your pick.
This is the shit I like. These are the moves I like in card games.
Yeah, this is cool. But yeah, previously you could only do it against bots. So now you can... It's expanded a little bit.
I have to say, I was like, I had like 1 foot in, and that second foot was coming in. But then artifact news, and I'm kind of teetering the edge here.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. It's kind of a race to mobile, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, like... So another piece of this, they improved one thing I do like a lot that's subtle, but there's new UI improvements to the cards. So did you see this at all?
No, I didn't know.
I'm going to hold it up to the camera for you, which is not going to play well in an audio podcast, but they moved the... Fuck. You can't see that at all. They moved the UI so that it's not in the bottom middle anymore. It's like off to the side for your like health and hit points. Is that reading well for you?
Yeah, kinda. Oh, like the actual card itself. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
I
instead
see
of
what you're talking about. Okay. I thought you were talking about player health.
Being bottom middle. Yeah, the card, it's just a little bit cleaner on the across the board.
And I've seen it so many different ways that shit didn't even faze me. Moving from Hearthstone to Artifact, now this, that kind of, I don't know, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me anymore.
It's subtle, but yeah. So they announced that the 64-bit client is on its way. Starting with the June 2020 game update, the client will transition to the 64-bit client. They will continue to support the 32-bit client for the release of Ikoria and the update in May, but after only the 64-bit client will get updated, which means that is putting the Mac OS version a little bit closer. It's still coming. They don't have a concrete release date, but they're going to have to get to that 64-bit before they get to the next.
Yep. So also, isn't that the basis on iOS as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's important for the mobile part.
And you've seen Apple do a big push to make sure that macOS and iOS are super easy to co-develop for, so I wouldn't be surprised if those things happen sooner than later.
Is it available on Android?
No,
okay.
It's not available. It's only available on PC. They do say that in concept, mobile, just so we're clear, this is a big one. It's going to take a lot of work to get us there. There won't be many updates on this until late fall, but what we can tell you right now is it's planned for 2020. We'll have cross-platform support. Doesn't matter whether you're playing on the go or on your desktop at home, you'll still have access to all your cards, decks, play modes, etc.
I mean, that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah. They're also working on player challenges. So it's a new competitive experience that will have a short duration but high skill cap. It's something that basically you get different prizes, different... it's still... excuse me. It's still something high skill, very competitive, but it's separate from all of the like Magic eSports stuff and different leagues they have set up. It seems like an easier way for someone to just kind of jump in and play. I think that's it on Magic and the state of the game. But here's what I did on my iMac. I turned it off, or I restarted the computer, and I held down Option on the keyboard so I could boot into Windows, so I could update this client.
You're almost there.
And then I went, and I booted back into Mac and walked away from my computer. So I got that far. We'll see.
I can honestly say that not having the Option boot a MacBook anymore, it makes me want to play my PC a lot more.
I was like, as I'm sitting there on that screen, I'm like, do I really want to update this client? Am I going to play this tonight? I'm going to go play Final Fantasy. And I just walked away from it.
Also, everything looks better on my PC. You know, I'm a little spoiled because you keep saying Final Fantasy VII looks so good, but there's like little artifact things that I'm seeing in the background, and I don't know if it was because of my newfound knowledge thanks to one John Linneman and the fact that I have graphics cards, you know, a decent graphics card in my computer, but like I'm like noticing little things. I'm like, oh, that's a texture that's not loaded in properly, or that's bad like texture mapping. I'm picking up these little things.
Oh no, John Linneman has taught a lot of things, but no, I too. That's part of the thing I mentioned earlier about the NPCs, like seeing 4 different Stan Lee-esque characters, but it's also like seeing weird shit in the background or seeing the like low res textures and things. It's just like,
and like just knowing that like when Cloud's like crawling through a little crawl space, like it's just loading the next part of the map. It's just,
dude, I've literally had a part where I was like, am I not hitting forward? Why isn't he moving? Like,
I know. Yes, I know.
It's bad. Well, Matt, what happens in the past never stays buried. This summer, the Dark Pictures' second game, the first one being Man of Medan last fall, now Little Hope, out this summer. There's a trailer out now. Did you watch the trailer?
I did not, no. Because I did play Man of Medan Damn.
Yeah. I want to play those. They're fucking cool. I did start this week Obscure.
Guys, the lips. It's always the lips in these games, man.
Yeah. No, I checked out Obscure on Ben's recommendation for PlayStation 2. Have you seen this game?
I was checking it out a little bit, not like trailer-wise, but like looking at some screens when we were all talking about it because you had it in the group to chat.
If you like Until Dawn, you will love... I'm sorry. If you like Until Dawn and Sum 41, you will love Obscure. It's pretty... It's weird because it's developed by a French developer, and they perfectly nail the American high school aesthetic of like 2002. It's just perfect. Nintendo Switch got a new firmware this week, 10.0.0, which added new Animal Crossing, New Horizons avatars to the game. A couple other features in there that were pretty neat. You can now customize button layout on any controller within limitation. But that was cool because I was just saying that I didn't buy the Genesis collection because button remapping wasn't a thing, and the 6-button M30 controller I have is not going to work super well with it. But then they updated that, and I could technically get around it. One of the weird things that came out of this, someone on Twitter by the username @hexkyz, HEXKYZ, posted the firmware 10.0.0 adds preliminary support for a new hardware model, NX-ABCD. 3 of the 5 new DRAM profiles are for this new hardware type, and there's evidence of a secondary display of sorts being added exclusively on this model. Matt, what does this mean?
I don't know. I just hope that it's not like a Wii U thing.
I don't think that it will be. I honestly, what the fuck would they even do with a second screen?
I could see... I don't know. Maybe... Never mind. I already take back what I said that I was going to say. They could maybe use their Nintendo app to maybe use your phone as a second screen. But like I said, I rescind that statement before I even said it out loud. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. They could maybe do some like NFC stuff with like an older Switch model to the new Switch. Like a Switch Pro or Switch Advance. I'm still pushing that name out there, Nintendo VR.
Yeah.
I got a prediction on the line here. I don't know. I don't know what it could be.
My best guess is that it's a development unit. I think that they're trying to figure out a way to take a Switch Lite, or basically, okay, in a world where we have a new Switch Advance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense for a Switch Advance to have a lot of power, but also you don't want to lose out on the Switch Lite market, right? So you need to bring a new Switch Lite-esque thing forward, but not having that docking functionality on a Switch Lite is probably hurting a little bit. Not hurting all across the board, but for example, our friend Tyler has been looking for a Switch since quarantine started. I keep finding postings. I'm looking for his Switch, and I'm looking for Ring Fit for you. So I'm on the hunt. And I have found plenty of opportunities for him to get a Switch Lite, and he's like, nah, I need the full one. I'm like, all right. I keep digging, keep checking Wario 64 every day. And I think there's something to that where he doesn't want to just jump in for the Lite because it won't go out to the TV. So my guess, this secondary display, the fact that it's a hardware model ABCD, like if this were an actual something to go to production, even in a codename state, you wouldn't call it ABCD. I wouldn't assume. I think it's a development thing where they have a model with 2 screens so they can test what it's like to output from a low power thing like a Switch Lite to an external display, but it's easier to develop on something handheld like that. I don't know. That's weird, far-fetched, stupid things, but I feel like we've seen enough of these things through the years to kind of make an educated guess on some weird shit that might be going on, and I don't know. But if it were a dual screen thing that hits the consumer market, I don't know, man. Clamshell Switch?
I don't know. I just, they can't... I've said this before, but they can't do the 3DS thing where like I don't even know what 3DS is which and like how they differ from one another, and before you explain it again to me for like the fourth time, like it just doesn't stick because it's so confusing. And that's me, that I kind of have a hand in this industry, so not
trying to find
a good reference sheet.
No, if I can find it, I'll send it to you. It's an old MacBook. I think it was even before. It might have been like an iBook, but it fucking docked.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know where.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what it is. It'll be a thing with two screens, and then you fold it in half, and then you dock it. Something like that. Have you been watching wrestling still, Matt?
Yes, I am, surprisingly.
Are you looking forward to WWE 2K21?
I was.
Well, reports have emerged that 2K Games will not be publishing its annual wrestling title this year. Justin Leeper, who previously wrote narrative for WWE Games, published a video sharing details of big changes to the series this year. He says in the video, "I have heard from reliable sources, and I truly believe that WWE 2K21 has been canceled," he said. "There will be no game this year."
So this is very interesting. There's a bunch of reasons here. Not too recently, it may even been this week, if not last week, 2K19 servers are shut down. So you can no longer go to the game that works if you want to. You must go to 2K20. Another thing here, 2K20 is broken as hell, so like I hope maybe they're spending that time developing patches for it, because it's still not in good shape. It's better, but not in good shape, and they're still releasing DLC and wrestler packs and stuff for that, so like that kind of sucks. But the insider thing here is, if you look at WWE's investor calls from like what would it be, like Q3 and Q4 of last year, they suffered losses, and part of it was because their shows have been crap, they're still kind of crap, but like the storylines were going downhill. There was no big draw wrestler. Like, you have to bring in someone like The Undertaker or John Cena to pop ratings, but they're just not around, and you don't have that go-to like superstar. And they try to make them, they just keep failing at it. They just piss people off when they do it. So one of the things that they did in their investor call, when their revenue was down, they blamed the game for not selling well. And I'm sure it didn't sell well because it was broken as hell, but they pointed at that as one of like the main reason, and not because they're crap storylines and that stuff. So I of course, with all the things that are going on, I'm sure their revenue is going to fall again. I just don't know, like, if they're using this as an excuse, if this is like a like a strategic move for like the shareholders, or they're actually like want to take care of the thing. Because like, knowing Vince McMahon, if he can get a cent out of something, he will get that cent out of something. It doesn't matter what. I mean, he just there's a whole political thing with that. I'm not going to get into, but like, he just got Florida to deem them essential so they could film SmackDown, Raw, and NXT live during the week. No crowd, but you can have the wrestlers do like live things on, at that time slot instead of doing pre-recorded stuff. So there's a lot more to the story than just like what the game industry part of it, I think. Yeah, and then the fact that you're skipping next gen on 2K22, that's like a hockey ass move.
Yeah, so like, he says a couple things here. He says that the current pandemic has disrupted production of the game, so that probably affected the 2K plans. But this is also kind of changes behind the scenes where Ukes is no longer developing the game. It's visual concepts, so they probably need more time. And
I mean, that's what happened last year, mid-development.
Right, it happened, and then we saw the aftermath of that, where that game just... He has heard that there's another WWE game coming this year. 2K's publishing a different kind of game from a different kind of developer that's not visual concepts. He says, I could say more on that, but I won't because I've already probably pissed off a lot of people at 2K.
That could easily be a new mobile game, by the way. They do a lot of stuff with like their supercard thing. So you have to remember when you say games nowadays, mobile is part of that equation. Like when we were predicting EA's new games and the Syndicate mobile game that's yet to release and be announced will come. It might be delayed now at this point, but you know.
Sure, yeah. And then he says that 2K 2022 will not be on next generation consoles. Instead, still be released for PS4, Xbox One, and probably PC. So honestly, that makes a little bit of sense, especially with one of the stories we have coming up about PS5. But yeah,
at least those consoles are backwards compatible, so it's not like a huge deal. You can still play it on the next gen stuff. But this is real interesting, and you know you have a team out there that has experience wrestling, and you have AEW. You know, they're suffering through all of this, but I can honestly say that I've been watching more AEW on Wednesday nights than NXT because, like, the way they're doing all their stuff, like, they actually have the wrestlers in, like, the audience, like, cheering and booing the heels and stuff. Cool. So, like, the actual production, I don't know, it's up, and you keep beating NXT every week in ratings. So, like, and TNT's already come out and said, like, dude, AEW's in great shape. They're making us more money because of like all the stuff that's sold out in the past, all the merch that's still being sold, and they're still getting views on their television product. So AEW's in good shape, and I think it's going to be a matter of time before, maybe not this year, but I wouldn't be shocked if next year we hear something that they're doing that, because it's like the number one most requested thing out of that company right now. That's how far and that's how good they're doing right now.
So quickly, too, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Speaking of impressive, XCOM Chimera Squad. A new game set 5 years after the events of XCOM 2. Humans, hybrids, and aliens are working together to forge a civilization of cooperation and coexistence. City 31, a model of peace in a post-invasion world, is opposed by mysterious groups whose agendas threaten to shatter this delicate species. Chimera Squad, an elite force of human, hybrid, and alien agents, must work together to destroy the underground threats driving the city towards chaos. Matt, got a new XCOM game coming to Steam April 24th for $9.99, and then it'll be $19.99 starting May 1st as a new permanent price.
Huh. Weird timing.
Yeah.
Because there's another tactical, turn-based game coming out at the end of April by one Microsoft.
Yeah. 2K has announced it, and then Firaxis, the developer, says that it's not a sequel, nor is it an expansion to XCOM 2, even though it's set 5 years after. It's just a new story in that universe. But for $10, it kind of like gauges quality of it or something, you know what I mean? I kind of resets my expectations, but I'm intrigued.
One of the things that with XCOM is like I get 10 hours into it and like I feel like I'm just cracking the surface of the game. It's like, God, how long is this? For how long can I actually do this? Maybe it is a little bit later, maybe a little bit shorter, maybe like a 25-hour package or something like that. Maybe even less. I don't know. I wouldn't be saddened if it was less than 25 either. I'll just say
Yeah.
But those games are always good. I mean, I'm assuming like all the work in their engine like already supports it. Like even if they don't really add anything, it's just like a new story mode. Like I think it's still a good product you got there.
Yeah. Well, good products. There's no better product than Picross. And Picross S4 has been announced for Japan, launching on April 23rd. Usually these things hit Japan and then come west very quickly. Have you played any of the S4 or the Picross S series?
No.
It's just good ass Picross, man.
Wait, no, I thought I put it on here. Maybe I didn't, but it's coming same day.
Oh, same day to America?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
It was, Nibble tweeted the release date for Japan, and then the second tweet said coming same day.
Yep, there it is. I think these are usually like $7 or $8.
It could be 50. I'm buying it.
Oh, yeah, you should definitely.
Yeah, this is day one, easy.
When this announcement happened, I grabbed my... I've got a Japanese copy of Mario's Picross for Game Boy, So I was playing that a little bit. Boy, that Game Boy is hard to play in 2020, I tell you. I love it still, but I had to like sit and turn toward the fucking window. And
I don't know how we did it.
I don't know either. No idea, but I love it a lot. Rocksteady apparently pitched a Superman game as a follow-up to Arkham Knight, and Warner Brothers passed on the project. This comes from the same source who leaked the new Batman game and Warner Brothers' plans for E3. What do you think? Would you have played a Superman game?
It would have been another like redemption story. Because like remember, Batman was trash at the video game level. Was trash when Rocksteady got a hand of it.
Trash is I think a little lower than it was. It was fine. They were fine. But the best Batman game in the 5 years prior to the release of Arkham was Lego Batman. Prior to that, you had a Batman Begins tie-in game that was mostly fine.
It didn't look great. I've seen footage of it.
It didn't look great, but I played it, and it played like it felt fun to play. Generally speaking, it felt like you were playing Batman Begins. But outside of the movie tie-ins, there were like the ones on GameCube and PS2, the ones that were tied into the animated series, and they were good. Like they weren't bad. They were, matter of fact, like the one I think it's Rise of Sinzu is developed by, or it might be Vengeance, one of those. It's developed by the people who would later go on to make Assassin's Creed. I mean, you go back and play that now, you can kind of feel a lot of that DNA in there a little bit. But Superman 64 is the last Superman solo game outside of, there was Justice League Heroes, which is kind of like a top-down Diablo-style beat-em-up.
Was this like X-Men Destiny or whatever, right? Or X-Men,
yeah, it was like that. That was a lot of fun. I remember playing that and liking it a lot. And, but, outside of stuff like DC Universe Online, like you really haven't been able to play as Superman in anything outside of, or I guess Injustice, but yeah.
And I guess the later Lego games, right?
Yeah. But I mean, to have an honest ass Superman game, that would have been pretty cool. I still hope that there's something like that coming.
Or just like, it's always interesting to see how you can, kind of be Superman, but like have it a challenge at the same time. It would have been interesting to see how they did that. But like, what did we say? Was the Suicide Squad? Is that the one they're rumored on now? Like the most prevalent
rumor? Yeah. We'll see.
I don't know.
I hope all that stuff gets announced this year, sooner rather than later. Crytek announced this year, just this week, that Crysis Remastered is on its way for a summer launch on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. The game does take place in August 2020, so wouldn't be surprised if it came out in August, but nothing confirmed yet.
That may have been
played Crysis.
Plan.
I mean, obviously Crysis has, that meme status of can it run Crysis, but outside of that, like the game never looked interesting to me. Like I remember it just being kind of the joke that like it was the highest whatever, but Yeah,
I played a little bit of Crysis 3. I think it went free on Plus on PlayStation at one point. Right. And I played it. It was fine. It was like a generic, to me it felt like a generic, another one of those first-person shooters with these set pieces and a couple of mechanics to try to make it different from Call of Duty, but it really wasn't. But I heard like that's the weakest one in the franchise too, so I don't want to give my total opinion to the whole franchise because of that like 30-minute experience. But I don't know. I guess the Switch can run Crysis now, so that question's answered.
There you go. Yeah.
I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most out of this is the Digital Foundry video comparing the two on PC. So there's that more good Digital Foundry content.
That's really the only reason people should make games anymore. It's just so I can watch those.
Especially this one. I think that's the only reason they did it. They probably have a partnership with Digital Foundry. Like, here, you want some content? Here you go.
Yeah. Jason Schreier has left Kotaku after 8 years and
some change.
Yeah, honestly, that is he's been the real. I mean, I don't even go to Kotaku. I follow him on Twitter, and then when he tweets something, I read it.
Yeah. was it Gawker Media?
Yeah, all of their websites.
When that stuff kind of came out like, a few months ago, and he even references some of that like indirectly, I think, in his like farewell.
Not indirectly, very directly.
Oh, okay,
like,
yeah. But he references that, and I think at that point I kind of stopped going to Kotaku just because I don't feel good visiting this website anymore. But then I say that I keep going to IGN too, so I don't know. I'm just my eyes are backwards, but yeah.
I had stopped because of the fucking headlines and those things suck to me. Clickbait generally sucks to me, so I try and avoid anything like that as much as I can. But I don't. They used to do really interesting stuff, and I just feel like it stopped doing interesting stuff.
Except
even
for
prior
Schreier.
to all the Deadspin stuff last year.
Yeah, except for Schreier. That was But at this point, leading up to this point, like whatever articles he wrote, he tweeted it. So all you really had to do was just follow him on Twitter, or maybe even get like the push notification that he tweeted something and just take a look. That's yeah.
He will continue to do his podcast, but it will not be called. It's not Kotaku's Split Screen anymore. It's a new video game podcast with his co-hosts Kirk Hamilton and Maddie Myers from Kotaku.
They announced the name of it. I forget what it is.
Yeah,
it's like I know the graphic is them holding like 4 controllers.
It is called Triple Click Pod.
That's what it is.
And then he is doing something else, which I don't know that he has said yet. I might be wrong about that. He just said, his currently, as the time of recording, his Twitter bio just says new thing soon. So,
well, he said I know he did say, I don't know if it was in that article or I've read it somewhere else, but he did say he was going to put the finishing touches on his second book and then start working on his new stuff. So we'll see. Schreier is the dude when it comes to insider information. There's a couple other sources that I trust out there, like Eurogamer and stuff like that. But if Schreier says, we even joke about it when we have like our group, like in our group chat about it. Like we just joke, like, "Oh, Schreier said it is true."
It's news, yeah, like exactly. And that's been the case. He's been super reliable. We know that we can trust. What he says is actually real. Which I wish he would have commented on this, because I'm still not sure where to fall on this news story, but. From Bloomberg, Sony plans limited PlayStation 5 output in its first year. This is Takashi Mochizuki and Yuki Furukawa of Bloomberg. I'm just going to read the first 2 paragraphs here. Sony Corporation plans to produce far fewer units of its upcoming PlayStation 5 in its first year than it had for the previous generation's console launch, according to people familiar with the matter. The Tokyo-based tech giant is limiting its initial production run in part because it expects the PS5's ambitious specs to weigh on demand by leading to a high price at launch, the people said, asking not to be identified because the subject is private. The global COVID-19 pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new device, but not its production capacity, they added. The company has told assembly partners that it would make 5 to 6 million units of the PS5 in the fiscal year ending March 2021, according to other people involved within the machine's supply chain. When Sony released the PlayStation 4 in 2013, it sold 7.5 million units in its first 2 quarters. So that same time span. They go on to suggest that the price would be in the region of $499 to $549. Of course, Sony has declined to comment.
I think one of the things here that the price is going to be the big vocal point of this article, and it kind of has been. I've seen that more than anything.
I think that might be the outcry from people, but for me, it's the scarcity of it. Because I remember the PS2 days and how much we wanted a PS2. I remember the PS3 and the Wii days, where even despite the PS3 being, pretty... obviously, we joke back at how high the cost was, but thinking, specifically about the PS3 versus the Xbox 360 and what gave the 360 the leg up. And I'm not talking about the console war stuff moving forward. I just mean at that time, 360 jumped up so much because the price was lower. It had been out for a year and had a library of games. You know what I mean? The PS3 just had a lot of things against it from the start. And I feel like we're getting into that now. We just had the PS4 dominate that whole generation. And Xbox definitely swung back a little bit by the end. But now we're moving into PS5, and we're talking high prices again, which is a bad part, but also limiting the console. If I can't find the thing, how am I going to buy the thing? Money aside, because if I want it badly enough, I'll have the money. You know what I mean? But can I buy it? That's my question.
Well, I think part of the problem that the article did mention that no one's kind of picking up on is like the situation around us is affecting production, but it's affecting their cost and how much of the pieces to the puzzle they need for production. That's a part of this, and I think that's why they're still fluid in that range. I think they want to land on the 500 side of it, but I don't know. I will say I'm curious to see what Xbox's price is. If because I always thought Sony's was going to come in at least a little bit lower, just off of hardware specs, but I don't know.
Are you? I don't like. Honestly, I looked at like the savings I had set aside for both of these consoles this week, and I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna put this into something else.
No, I'm not there yet.
I'm finding it hard to care right now. I don't know if that's the current climate. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of like, obviously playing something like Final Fantasy VII with its ups and downs, right, in terms of visual and performance and whatever, I'm definitely like ready for new consoles, but PS5 has not done anything. I mean, they cite here that the pandemic has affected promotional plans for the new console, and I feel that because I don't know what the fuck that console is. The controller we talked about last week doesn't excite me. It's fine. It's a fucking controller.
It's a controller.
But like, what am I playing with the controller? You know what I mean? And
it's
just like,
we need the games, and I think their promotional thing got put out of whack, and I think we have it on the news feed. But like, I think the delays, like, I think they really wanted to get the swan songs of the PS4 out before they started to talk about games, and that has thrown everything awry here. And I think that's part of the reason why you can't get excited, because we don't know what we're playing. As soon as you tell me Horizon Zero Dawn or Twisted Metal, like whatever is a launch title, I'm back excited. It's hard to get excited when everything coming out is not like exclusive. Not that it would be exclusive, I guess, weirdly enough, but like it's not like built for PS5 or Series X. It's built with PS4 definitely in mind. Like Cyberpunk, like that is still a game that is very much planned for the previous gen consoles. Right. Yeah, so I think once we get more of those and we start seeing those exclusives and seeing like which ones, like we know Halo, like that, I think that's exciting enough. However, if they announce crossplay for that, I'm not as excited for a Series X.
Well, but also like Halo Infinite is going to play on my Xbox One S. I'm not saying it's going to look the best and play all that, but like that ain't doing it. Because if it's really about like, am I going to spend $500 to buy this box to play Halo? No. I know Game Pass Ultimate, I have all of that stuff, and yes, but like when it comes down to it,
oh no, like bank I use lets me just kind of put money to the side without me even really kind of realizing it, and I have it kind of set up that way. So like I'm not canceling those goals by any stretch of the imagination. But like if it does come out and it's not great right away, I mean I can always see what the next 6 months look like that launch window, you could say, right? Or just put that fucking money into my PC.
Because I'm worried about that too. Like, what if we hit the 360 stuff, where the 360 launched too early and it was a hot fucking mess for years? It took years to recover from that before the new models were not melting in people's living rooms. Are we going to run into that situation again? Are these things being rushed to market?
Unfortunately, that's not something you're going to know until like 3 years from then, or 2 years or so. That's just an early adopter risk you take on anything. That's just not these consoles. I would like to think that Microsoft learned their lesson, but yeah, I guess you never know.
I mean, even PS5. Like, how do we know the PS5 isn't going to melt or whatever? Right? Like,
you don't.
Yeah,
you don't. But I think you can say that with like anything, like early adopters of like a brand new phone. Even a Switch, I think we had some of those concerns. Remember, people were talking about the docks scratching the screens, and like you get that with everything. And remember that the vocal minority on the internet is very loud. So if it's happening like 1,000 people, that's what the news the news keeps carrying out that 1,000 people. So I don't know. The concerns of the architecture of the console not working aren't like that's just part of the risk of buying a day one. But like as soon as you announce a game, I think I'm back on. It's just it's hard to get excited when you don't know what you're playing yet.
Gamescom has been canceled.
Shocker. Added to the list.
Yes. But Jeff Keighley said that the physical Gamescom event, with it not going forward, Gamescom opening night live will be an all-digital show, streaming live on Monday, August 24th. Sure.
Makes sense.
Sounds good.
I mean, still like a good press conference.
Yeah. This is not anything to be concerned with. This following news story, it seems like this might be a non-story, but I think it's worth mentioning. Someone noticed that Ghost of Tsushima's release date had been changed to August 1st on PlayStation Canada Store. Someone else dug into archive.org and saw that it had been that date since the beginning of March. So it wasn't out of nowhere, and it had been listed as that since prior to the Last of Us 2 indefinite delay. But it goes back to what we were just saying of what is happening, these final last little things, get them out the door, close out this generation and start the next. And where does Ghost of Tsushima fall? Is it delayed? I don't know.
I think it's, there was also that thing about The Last of Us coming out that last Friday in June via Amazon. But one thing you have to remember is you have to be able to point to your shareholders that it's coming out this quarter, and that's just I looked up that date, that June 26th date, and that's just the last Friday in
the quarter.
So you kind of have to play that game a little bit. It's weird that it's August 1st and not what would it be? September, whatever, as the placeholder.
Yeah.
In that regard, so that's a little weird, but it could just be a placeholder date to say, hey, it's coming kind of towards the beginning of Q3. So I don't know. But I think they want to get The Last of Us out by June, and I think Ghost of Tsushima is going to be 3 weeks later.
Yeah, I can see that. Is there another one from them? They had that Iron Man game for VR that also got delayed with The Last of Us.
That you can, I think you have to put that out before the Avengers game, but that's if that hits on time at this point.
Yeah.
Non-joke.
No, yeah.
And then, I don't know, I honestly, though, with the VR thing, you can put that the same day as Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like Counter-Strike Go hurt Dota 2 this week as it passed for the first time ever the all-time concurrent player peak with 1.3 million players. Is this because of Valorant?
I think
Valorant
so.
Got out there and then people were back into CSGO?
Yeah, I don't know. Valorant, I've watched a little bit of gameplay. I mean, I don't know if I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but that game is Counter-Strike as fuck with some weird Overwatch powers for seeing people through walls and things like that.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that that Rod Breslau guy, he on Twitter, he was like, it's weird, CSGO is going to kill Valorant and Valorant is going to kill CSGO. It's going to be that these two games are going to kill everything else. So it's going to be weird to see. And I mean, he's not he's not wrong. I think we were talking about it last week that it surpassed 1 million people concurrent playing CSGO. That is, it was a couple months ago before all this stuff broke out with these tournaments. So I don't know. CS:GO is fun to watch on Twitch, for tournaments and stuff like that, because you do get those epic moments, and the rounds are so short that you can get more of those moments than in a Dota match where it takes. If you're someone that doesn't really play a lot of Dota, it takes 30 minutes for the game to get good to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fun watch. Any of those round based games that the action's kind of once the buy phase is done and you're actually moving, within seconds someone could die, and it's fun to watch. I think in that regard, because it's like a football almost. It's a lot of pause time, but once the action's good, it's action for 2 minutes quickly, and it's over.
It's fun to watch it. Do you think it'd be fun to bet on?
I would.
Well, thankfully for you, Nevada has officially approved betting on eSports, including LCS, LEC, Overwatch League, and Call of Duty League, in addition to ESL CSGO. What's LCS?
LCS should be the league. That should be the League Championship Series. I don't know what LEC is, though. What's the E?
All of them, though. They're all... you can bet.
Another reason why the players need a union. Match fixing is bound to happen if these players don't get...
Sure.
Yeah. So it's something to watch out for, as well as more prevalence of... I guess it's only for the major tournaments, the ones that are actual LAN, so it wouldn't be terrible. But if these are online competitions, a DDoS attack on a team that is heavily favored is very much a thing, because some European countries let you bet on this stuff already, and it's already kind of an issue. Not a major issue, but it happens. I've seen it happen myself.
Sure.
So it's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, as I've said many times, all this is just leading to what sports is nowadays, where the players have their union, and then the league has like the owners with a set commissioner, and is going to take collective bargaining agreements every 5-6 years to make sure these leagues can keep going. That's where we're heading.
Our last news story, Matt, comes from a Sony patent. The hottest of news stories, always coming out of a patent. This one brings to life a little fuzzy robot that hangs out and
this fucking non-news, dude. I saw this shit. It's non-news.
Well, what could the fuck this be, though?
You remember?
This is a weird.
Remember
the little dog?
No, not the dog. I was gonna say, remember that peripheral that came out with Nintendo that did absolute jack shit?
Oh, Rob the Robot?
Uh-huh. That one.
Well, this one gets to learn who you are and how you play, and
I saw that days ago and then put it into this feed.
It will also help to improve life rhythm and will tell users to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking kid. I don't need to be told when to go to bed. If I want to stay up to 1:30 doing all the side quests in Final Fantasy, I can do that.
No,
fuck you little mascot doll thing.
I don't think this is meant for somebody in their 30s, but I think...
Well, I'm not there yet. Don't put me there.
Well, either way, I'm not buying it. But, I mean, for a kid, this could be a fun little thing. I think, funnily enough, I mean, everything is very global now, so it's easy to forget, but Sony is a Japanese company.
True.
And there have been a lot of stories. I remember... late last year, reading some stuff about how Japan is producing less children this generation because, frankly, people aren't fucking. You don't have a lot of people who are not even not fucking, but not even just getting together. There's not a lot of young couples. People are spending more time isolated. It's not that video games are to blame or whatever, but just staying inside. I mean, current situation prior to all this, but it was a lot of that, a lot of just isolation. It just feels weird to say those words now in this new context, but it's a lot of that stuff. So you think about that context and where, things are made because there was a need in place. And I wonder if the need of companionship and those types of things is so prevalent, right, that you start to look at how can we fix this? How can we fix the problem of staying isolated, staying alone? Well, let's give them a robot person to be friends with and make their lives better. I don't know. I think this could help with someone with depression or
I just think
anxiety.
This is non-news. I just don't think it's going to ever hit market. I think it's just a weird patent that you see that, you never end up seeing.
Yeah, there's a timeline where it does come out and it's the hottest fucking toy in the world and whatever.
That's true.
You think about iPets and all that shit they had back on the PSP. But I think also this very well could be just a dumb thing. But what does this dumb thing turn into, right? That's the other idea.
Sony's home, Amazon, home, their home kit.
Sure. Yeah. It could be that thing. It could be it could be just technologies that roll into VR or things like that.
Yeah.
Other peripherals. Well, that is going to do it for another edition of the Free
I have
Cheese
one
Podcast.
more thing. I have one more thing. And I'm going to make the listeners do a little bit of homework on this because I don't know the full story. Have you seen what's going on in that Cooking Mama game?
Yeah, loosely I've been paying attention to it.
This is the most weird story about a trademark being shifted back and forth and companies not knowing who owns what.
That is getting blown out of proportion, though. There were a lot of people who were worried about cryptocurrency and all this bullshit. My basic understanding of that game is that it was developed by someone who did not have a strong development history, so the game's not good just because it's not made by someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And because of that, the game kind of went out without probably much testing or QA.
It wasn't supposed to go out. That was the problem.
Yeah, I think it just kind of got pushed out, and then all of a sudden when everyone realized it was out, it was like, hey, no, pull this down. This is fucking up our brand image. Yeah, it's a weird scenario, but...
Yeah, I know that the story has shifted quite well, not drastically, but like it's still kind of shifting or whatever. But like the that series, what happened with Matt McMuscles or whatever, he went into it. He did like one of those emergency ones almost, and kind of went into it. It's an interesting story about like the developer did say about like using like blockchaining, like all those terms for cryptocurrency in a build of the game that was tested back in like January, and then because people are unsure about the release nature of the game from the publisher, I think, who's the parent company of Cooking Mama, they thought that like that January edition came out, and because it was an old version and blockchain had been talked about, that's where like all the cryptocurrency stuff came in. But like,
got it.
But like, it's just such a weird story of like how like if you are a publisher or an owner of an IP and you outsource something and it just goes incredibly wrong with like just big picture ideas that like studios not capable of, what happens? It's become this weird little mystery about how it was and just put out there and then pulled back, and there's this mysterious PS4 version that no one knows if it exists or not. It's just a weird story for a game that sold millions and millions of units.
Yeah, there's a couple weird examples of that from like the 360 era of like as things were changing and moving more digital and like the middle tier publishers started to fall out. Like there's all of this weird shit in that wake that I think those are interesting. It's always interesting to look at that stuff as like, what the fuck happened here?
I definitely, if you want to look into it, I would definitely go and like look for like a video explaining it, because reading it like text, it's a lot, because there's about like 3 different companies, and the one changed his name at some point, then changed it back. It's a whole mess. It's definitely worth. If you want a fun little mystery, well, I guess not mystery anymore, but like if you want a fun little read about what the fuck
happened?
Yeah, it's out there. It's pretty fun.
What do you got planned for the week?
Final Fantasy Warzone. I think that's it. And I don't think anything new is coming out this week, right? Picross is the following week, right? Or is that this week?
Picross is this
April 23rd.
Week.
Yeah. I will probably be picking that up and playing it. But I've been playing that Picross, that Konami one, on my new iPad for a while here, so like it's just another Picross game into the fold.
Yeah, I should probably grab that one on Wednesday. I don't know. I'm gonna keep poking at Final Fantasy VII, and I've been toying with Dissidia a little bit here and there, trying to understand it a little bit more. I don't know, but 7's my priority. Like I've not like been able to sit down and dedicate just a block of time to it. It's been like, let me do that. Okay, I got to go do this. So I'm just gonna fuck off and play that game a whole bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing baseball and a couple games of Madden here and there in the background, but like nothing new to talk about there. But yeah, Final Fantasy. Like when I get a chunk of time during the day, that's what I try to sink my teeth into.
Well, there it is. If you like this episode, you can find it and all of our other episodes on thefreecheese.com. You can follow us on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at Some Free Cheese. Matt is at MattyIce131. I am at The Free Cheese. Email us, podcast at thefreecheese.com. We've been getting some emails. But it's all like fucking sign up to find Russian singles in your area.
Well, those
that
are
kind
good.
of hot stuff.
I mean,
yeah.
Are there questions? We did say ask us anything.
I've read through for questions. Nothing about that, sadly.
Like, and how do you feel about our single Russian ladies? Anything phrased that way?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Nothing we could even. I was like, all right, how can I turn this into some dumbass thing we can talk? Nah, can't do it. That's it. That's all I got. Enjoy your week. Play something fun. Send us a question. That's it. Yeah. Until next time. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.